Hey y'all, it's Raj with EV365, and today we're taking the Tesla Model X on a road trip to South Texas. Hey y'all, so we're in the Model X, and I actually had a work trip scheduled to go down to South Texas. So I figured this would be a cool way to make a unique video. I wanted to grab a Tesla as my rental and drive it down to South Texas and kind of stop off at all of the Elon companies along the way. And that would be our first stop is going to be the Giga Factory here in Austin. Then we'll swing by the Boring Company in Bastrop, and then we'll continue to head down to SpaceX's Starbase over there in Brownsville, Boca Chica, Texas, and that's in South Texas. And the reason I wanted to do that, one, is I thought it'd make a cool video, a cool little road trip in a Tesla going to all of Elon's companies. And two, it'll kind of showcase the benefit of all of these vehicles moving over to the Tesla Supercharger Network and using the NACS connector. And that's the North American charging standard, which is better known as the Tesla connector. Right now, you can't make this trip in a electric vehicle that's not a Tesla. And that's just because there's no CCS charging stations between Austin and South Texas, basically. So if you want to get down to Brownsville, if you want to get down to South Padre Island, say for spring break, and you want to take an electric vehicle, the Tesla's the only way to do it. Now, of course, those networks are going to be opened up, and that's going to allow other vehicles to get down there. But yeah, this will basically showcase the beauty of all these companies switching over to NACS, and of course, the great job that Tesla has done up to this point on getting their supercharger networks in as many places as they can. And we'll also be testing out the reliability and how quickly you charge when you plug in and things like that. And we won't get into all the data and stuff. It'll kind of just be more of an experience type of trip. And we'll let you know if any issues we run into and what goes great, and kind of review the vehicle as we're driving it as well. And you can see this is a 2022 Tesla Model X, but it's new enough to where it's got the yoke steering wheel, and I'll let you know kind of how I feel about that after driving it for about 6 hours. And it does also have the gear shift controls on the screen. And one thing I didn't know when I first heard that news come out, you can actually still do it over here down on the panel. So you're not completely committed to using that screen to do that. And one thing I wanted to point out, I do have a little wind noise coming out of that right passenger door, which is common with Tesla sometimes with the build quality. So if it gets bad, I may have to just do the videos when I pull over, but we'll see how it goes. I'll check the video out and see how that sounds. But anyways, our first stop is the Giga Factory, so we'll check in then and let you know how the trip's going. All right, here we are coming up on the Tesla Giga Factory. And it's funny because when you first pull up to it, you're like, oh, that ain't all that big. And then it just keeps on going once you go past it. There it goes. Y'all, so here's the Giga Factory from the other side. And you can see that thing is humongous, and we're gonna loop around this roundabout, and they've got some vehicles parked out here so you can see, get a look at some Model Ys that are ready to ship, and of course some Cybertrucks, which is the more exciting thing. And they've got a ton of them out there. I don't know if you can see them way far there in the back. There's a couple right there. Here's a good shot of one right here. It looks like they put this out here just for people to take a look at. Yeah, so a bunch of vehicles. Glad we were able to see the Cybertruck while we were out there, and now we are going to go head to the Boring Company. Next stop on the journey. All right, y'all, so here we are pulling up to the Boring Company. Get a better view over there. And what we're gonna do is head over to what they call the Hyperloop Plaza, and it's just a little convenience store, an area to hang out that they built for their employees and the SpaceX employees across the street to enjoy, as well as it's open to the public, so the local folks around here and anybody who wants to come visit can come check it out, and it's called Hyperloop Plaza. Okay. Hey y'all, so we just got out of Hyperloop Plaza, and as you can see, that's a pretty cool spot to hang out. And they have built this up both for their employees, for SpaceX employees. SpaceX has a facility across the street where they're doing some Starlink stuff, and for the locals and for public to kind of come and enjoy. It's got pickleball courts, playgrounds for the kids over here. And you saw there was a bunch of stuff in there, including a barbershop, convenience store. You get some wine if you want. So yeah, just a cool little spot they've got built out here. Anyway, so now we're gonna head to a charging stop in Luling, Texas, and then we'll be headed down to Starbase, and we'll probably have one more stop in between. So yeah, so far the trip's been going good, but it's only been about 45 minutes. We're just outside of Austin here in Bastrop. So we'll see you in Luling. And I believe that stop's gonna be at a Buc-ee's. Oh, and over here, just right there, that's kind of how the tunnels look on the inside. So if you're not familiar with Boring Company, they make equipment in tunnels, and they've got some built out in Vegas already, and that's just kind of how the outside of the tunnels look. It's pretty cool. All right, see you at Buc-ee's in Luling. All right, y'all, so we're here at the Buc-ee's in Luling, Texas. And this location actually has 12 Tesla supercharging stations here, so that's pretty good. They've got 4 here at the station that we're at, and we're the only one on these 4. And these look like they were the original 4 put in, and then they probably added 8 more over there. So yeah, a whole bunch of charging stations. We had no issues with the charge. We pulled it off the charging station and plugged in, and it was moving right away. And we probably peaked at about 130 kilowatts, and it's slowly going down. We've been charging probably for about 5 to 6 minutes, and we're at 86 kilowatts now. And we are using the Tesla trip computer, which has been great as far as navigation. I'm familiar with this route, and it's going the way that you would expect it to go. So that's always good to see. Not all of these navigation systems are that good. And it did start preconditioning because it knew we were coming up on this charging station about 30 miles out. And that preconditioning just kind of warms up the battery, gets it where it needs to be to accept as fast of a charge as it can. And it's telling me I got about 4 minutes left to fill up, to get to the point where it'll get us to the next charging station with enough juice. And the trip computer figures all that out for you. But we're going to go ahead and charge up to 80%. Just because I haven't done this route before on an EV, so I just don't want to take any chances. But otherwise, it's all going smooth. And yeah, driving the Model X itself, I actually really like it. The drive is definitely a little, like you feel the road a little more than in some of the other EVs I've driven in. And I've set it to kind of the soft setting, and it's still like that. But I wouldn't call it necessarily a bad drive. It's just maybe some people might think it's a little more rough than they want, but I actually kind of like feeling the road. So I'm not too bothered by that. And honestly, the inside of the Model X is much nicer than I remember. I haven't been in one in about 3 years. And I've been in Model Ys and Model 3s, which is maybe kind of jaded what I thought the interior of the X would be like. But to me, this feels real premium. You've got some, you know, kind of wood grain here. I'm not sure if it's real wood. It's probably faux wood. But everything else is real soft touch. There's nothing really cheap and plasticky around here in the main cabin. So yeah, from a luxury standpoint, this feels much more premium than the Model 3 and the Model Y. This is more in line with obviously what the Model S will give you as well. And the biggest thing is it's got this screen in front of the driver, which I wish they would put this in the Model 3 and Y. To me, it makes all the difference in making this thing go from too minimalistic to being almost just right. I have had some issues with the screen, and it's probably just because I'm not familiar with it as much. But it does seem a little cluttered to me, coming from the other EVs that I've driven. But again, that's just something you get used to it. I think after driving around for a while, it'll be second nature. The yoke steering wheel, actually, surprisingly to me, has not been that difficult to get used to. It does have a very video game type of feel. But I've gotten used to it while driving it. The only time I missed the top of the steering wheel was I made a super sharp turn at one point and did the let go to kind of let the wheel spin through my hand, and it was, you know, there was no wheel for to go through the hand. So that was a little weird. The blinkers not being a stock and being buttons has been hard to get used to. And again, I think after you drive one for a while, it'll become second nature, but initially it is something to get used to. And then they've got the shifting from drive to reverse. It's all on the screen, which that hasn't been too bad at all. And if you do want to, you can also do it. They've got some touch buttons down here where you can change from drive and park and neutral and reverse as well. So yeah, I guess we're gonna head inside and go check out the Buc-ee's, grab us a Buc-ee's burrito, maybe a sausage wrap and some Buc-ee's nuggets, use their clean restrooms, and then we'll continue on our trip to our next charging stop, which will be in, I believe it's Kingsville, Texas. So we'll check in then. Hey y'all, we made it to the Kingsville charging station, and these are, there's 8 units and they're rated for 150 kilowatts, and we were pulling 148 for a good portion of that charge. Now we've been charging for a little bit, and we're at about 80 kilowatts. But so we're doing better at these charging stations than we did with the ones that were over in at the Buc-ee's. At the Buc-ee's, we were supposed to get to close to 250, or they were at least capable of giving you that much, and we were only pulling about 110, 115. We might have peaked at 130 right at the beginning. And then the way Tesla charging curves go, it does kind of drop off gradually as you go along. But still, I've only been sitting here about 10 minutes, and I'm pretty much almost done with the charge. I'm gonna do the same thing as I did with the other one. I'm gonna go grab a drink and maybe go to the restroom and then get above 80 a little bit, just so I have a little more juice than what the trip computer's projecting. But yeah, this trip has been stress-free. I've had no worries with range anxiety or anything like that. We're making it to the next destination or the next charging stop with well over 25% of the battery pack left. So a real stress-free drive. And like I said, the point of this was just to kind of show maybe not necessarily the capabilities of the Tesla, though it is showing that, but more so the capabilities of the charging stations and just the availability of them. There's a lot of them. You know, we're only going to stop at 2 of them before we get to Brownsville, and before we get to SpaceX Starbase. I may juice up in Brownsville just so I have a full charge to get out to Starbase and then get back to my hotel for the night. But I don't necessarily need to do that. I can get all the way out there, but I'll just play it safe. But that's the reason for doing this. And there's several other charging stations that we've driven past on the way down here, where if we were feeling like we wanted to stop or go or juice up a little earlier than we did, you could. And like I said, again, there are not any DC CCS chargers on the way down here. So you'd have to either stop at hotels or at car dealerships that may have some charging that show up on some of the apps out there like PlugShare and ChargeWay, or you'd have to use your own mobile connector and try to find an outlet to charge into, either at RV park or something like that. And of course, all that will be alleviated hopefully once the switch to NACS occurs for everybody. And we're just a couple months out from that. And in some places you can already do it. So that's coming. But again, that really is the secret sauce for Tesla. And if you're considering electric vehicles, the main reason why anybody would suggest a Tesla is just the charging network is awesome. And you do get some reliability issues. Like I said, the ones at Kingsville weren't charging as fast as you want them to, but you've just got so many of them. And then when you get to a charging station, there's always 8 stations is kind of the minimum that they do now. So for the most part, you're going to find charging. Of course, once those CCS vehicles come on to these charging stations as well, they're going to be a little more crowded. And again, the Model X itself has been great. I will say the yoke, I've done more driving with it now since the last time. Yeah, I don't see any reason why you need the yoke other than to not block the screen that's in front. But there was a few times I was doing U-turns and even just normal right and left turns, and it's just, you miss that wheel. And then I'm somebody who likes to pop my back, and there's just not something to grab onto. So it's little things like that. I don't think the benefits of having the yoke and maybe not blocking this view outweigh the benefits and the safety of actually having something at the top of the steering wheel. The flat bottom, I don't really have any issues with that. A lot of vehicles are going that way. This one's a little more flat across, but yeah, even if they kept that and just kept this maybe not as high, I think that'd be a better option. But again, that's just my kind of preference, and Tesla now does offer the option to switch it out with a more traditional looking steering wheel. And surprisingly enough, the blinkers I'm getting a little more used to, but I actually really am enjoying driving the Model X, and I've been trying to figure out why it's Tesla's lowest rated vehicle. And I think the most obvious reason is it doesn't give you much more as far as like actual use of the vehicle and functionality inside. It doesn't give you much more than the Y. This baseline version does still get the federal tax rebate because it comes in just below 80K. But with that, you don't get the extra seats in the back. You can spec it out for a 6-seater or for a 7-seater, but you're paying extra to get that. I think it's $6,000 more to get to the 6 seats and maybe another $3,000 more to get to the 7 seats. Whereas the Model Y comes in much, much cheaper. I think maybe 30 to 40K cheaper, depending on the spec that you get and the seating arrangement. But yeah, you're not getting much more size. It is obviously roomier in the cabin. And you do have a little more space in the back if you don't have seats all the way in the back, and the front is larger. And then of course the inside is much more premium. But I think for a lot of those folks that are in the Model Y market, they're not going to pay that much extra to get upgraded just for a little more premium interior cabin. And you do get a lot more performance on the Model X, and you get a larger battery and more range. So that's going to be who this is for those folks that are looking for something that's a little more premium, want a lot more performance, and are willing to pay that $30,000 extra to get into a vehicle like this. But I think that's a limited segment, and that's why the Model Y is so popular. I think it fits the needs of a lot of families out there, and it's just much more affordable. So it ends up, I think, hurting the Model X. And again, it's a cool looking vehicle. It's got these falcon wing doors that are super unique. Throwback to the DeLorean, from Back to the Future. But even those, as cool as they are, it limits what you can do with the roof. You can't really put roof racks up there unless you get like these unique suction cup style roof racks, and you can only put them on one side, and you can't use the door that it's above. So that's just kind of, I think if Tesla just redesigned those doors a little bit, and maybe made it a little more unique, or threw in the back seats even as just a standard with these packages, so you can get that 3-row SUV, they might do a lot better with these, because it is otherwise a great vehicle, and driving it's been really fun. So yeah, we'll finish up this charge. I'm gonna go in, take a quick break, and then we'll hit the road, and our next stop will be Starbase, or we may stop to do a quick charge before we head out there, but we'll see you then. All right, here we are pulling up to SpaceX Starbase. You can see some of the rockets they've got over there on the left. Bunch of hangars where they probably work on them. Hey y'all, we made it over here to SpaceX Starbase, and that was a fun trip. The Model X was awesome to ride in. We really enjoyed it. Other than a little bit of wind noise, I really don't have any major complaints about it. And you know, we traveled a little under 400 miles and averaged probably about 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour. So I was happy with that efficiency. And the main thing that we wanted to showcase on this video was that the Tesla Supercharger Network makes it really easy to road trip to even kind of remote parts of the country. You know, you can get all over Texas using the CCS network from Austin. You can get all the way out to El Paso, up to Dallas, to Houston, down to San Antonio and back, but you can't get down to South Texas unless you've got a Tesla right now. But now that network is about to be opened up to everybody, or at least to all the CCS companies that are accepting the NACS charger as their standard. And that is just going to make road tripping and traveling in electric vehicles much easier. And that's a big part of that is going to be because of the Tesla Supercharger Network. All right, and if you look over there you've got one of the Starship rockets just hanging out there at the stand, maybe getting ready for a launch. And I guess our next stop is going to be Mars, maybe? Tell you what, I think we're going to hit that beach that's on the other side of that launch pad. Thanks for watching, guys. Hang loose, y'all.